All right, good morning everyone. Back from the gym. Got the post-workout shake here. Raw milk, raw eggs, maple syrup, banana, berries, creatine, cacao powder. It's got some magnesium in it. We're not filling our body with any freaking chemical from China. Keeping it real today, I wanted to talk about consistency, the parable of the talents, obviously topics that I've covered before, but specifically in relation to certain things within my life and helping you guys bridge the gap between what you're doing today and connecting that with the results that are going to come in the future. Because I think it's very easy to get stuck in the trenches and so hyper focused on the challenges and goals of today that you can become discouraged if you don't see immediate results, and especially if you're not connecting what you're doing in the present day to what's going to come in the future. So we'll jump right into it. I've got some notes here. Firstly is the parable of the talents. This parable obviously does refer to money, all right? It is a analogy to money on that we should invest our money, we should invest the rewards of our work, and we will see greater return in our future than if we were to spend it all up front. But I think the more useful way to interpret it is also in terms of time. We are not guaranteed tomorrow, we're not guaranteed next week, we're not guaranteed next year. So given the fact that you now have, as you're watching this video, 15, 16, 17, 18 hours of the day, what are you going to be investing those talents, those hours into? And at the same time, based on your capabilities, based on your state in life, based on your talents, what is actually going to be the things that have the highest leverage? Let me run you through today. So I woke up at 4 in the morning, I got the cows, I sat down and did my morning prayer afterwards. Non-negotiable part of the routine. It's never if I'm going to pray, it's always when I'm going to pray. And then I basically had to keep moving forwards, and because you want to give your first fruits to God, right? That's Cain and Abel. And then it's about what are the things that I need to execute right now to put myself in a better position for next week and next month. Obviously, one of my big goals at the moment is growing the social media brand. So one of the first things that I need to do is post a piece of content, whether that be a B-roll with text video, whether that be a recorded video of me talking, or it's a clip from one of my longer form YouTube videos. But regardless of what I do, I need to post at least one piece of content every day, so I'll usually do that first. Also had a coaching call as part of my coaching program that was talking about content, so I'm also sharpening the sword and I'm learning how to do that better. Had work, was having a pre-workout coffee before my workout, and while I was doing that, I was preparing some notes for an essay that I need to write in the next 2 weeks that is about virtue, the catechism, and Christian tradition's interpretation of virtue in the Christian life. So I'm preparing for that, so then when I sit down and actually write it this afternoon or early next week, I've got everything there ready for me to go. So it's all about really putting myself in the position to. And of course, I'm hitting the workout, and of course, I'm fueling myself properly, so tomorrow I can actually have a day of rest. Now, coming back to the point that I started off the video with, when I'm recording and posting these videos and I'm slugging through the admin, I'm writing out the description. Yesterday I drove to Christchurch to record a podcast. It can seem like a very high cost, and when I'm posting it and it gets 600, 800, 1,000 views, which is still quite a lot, and don't get me wrong, I've been making good progress, it can be really difficult to view the immediate fruits. But let's take today, just this morning, and imagine if I copy and paste that to 300 days of this year, 330 days of this year, the rest of the days being Sundays. Well, that's 300 workouts, 300 days of clean nutrition, 360 days of morning prayer, 360 pieces of content at a minimum, okay? And that's at a baseline. I'm also producing my YouTube videos, the podcast, the extra videos per day. For probably for all of February, I was posting 3 reels a month, 3 reels a day. You add that all of up over a year, and you've made a lot of progress. And there might be some flashes of success over that year. You had a reel that did really well. You had a really strong session in the gym. But the reality is you're not going to be able to see that day-to-day difference. But as soon as you zoom out, and you have to take that principle, imagine if you're copying and pasting the day that you had today to every other day in the year. Well, that's going to show you where you are, okay? Instead of putting the talent in the ground, you're multiplying it. And that's really what that investment looks like, what I just described. To stretch out the goals so you can have a bit of a example of this. For me, for Fit for the Kingdom at the start of the year, it was at a minimum get a podcast out every 2 weeks. And you know, some days, some weeks like this week, I've got 2 podcasts that are recorded and being edited ahead of time. Last week, I had to record the podcast that I had to release on the day. I was under pressure. But when I get to December 31st, we're going to be 26 more podcast episodes on Fit for the Kingdom than we had before, in addition to all my YouTube videos. And that's what happens when you're willing to commit to a certain program, to a certain regime. And as I said, there's going to be some days where it feels almost impossible to do that, and you're not going to meet it, and you're so under pressure. I'm trying to finish my study at 11:40 on a Saturday, and these are just my weekly assignments, and I haven't even started my other ones. And you're going to feel under the pump. But if you're able to stick to that commitment, as I said, you're going to look back in a year's time and you'll have achieved a lot more than if you were playing it day by day or playing it by ear, going with the flow. Now, final point. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, and neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that not even Solomon in all his glory was arrayed as one of these. And if God so clothes the grass of the fields, that today is and tomorrow isn't and is cast into the fire, how much more will he care for you? Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all of these things shall be added unto you. You need to set your goals, you need to set your long-term goals, and then you need to know exactly what you need to do to execute that in the day-to-day. And when your head hits the pillow, when you're in the trenches right now, Saturday 28th of March, 11:43 p.m., and you're executing on what you said you would do, you have to trust that you're investing correctly. That comes with discernment, that comes with figuring out what God is calling you to, that comes with prudence. You know, I'm not going to commit to a podcast a day because that's unreasonable and it's probably not even going to be well-used effort. But provided you've done that upfront work of figuring out where you're going to go and it's realistic and achievable, when you're in it, you need to trust that you're doing the right thing. And as it says in the Gospel of Matthew, all of these things shall be added unto you, provided you seek first righteousness. Provided you're seeking the will of God and you're doing everything in your power to follow it, you kind of don't need to worry about those results. You don't need to worry about what tomorrow is going to look like. I don't need to worry about tomorrow because I know that I'm doing all the right things today to make sure that tomorrow is good and that tomorrow is a little bit better than today. And I will trust that God will bring fruit from my actions, not from my efforts, okay? Obviously, we have to cooperate with grace. We have to discern God's will and actually try our utmost to fulfill it. But it is in God that I trust, and it is in God that our fruitfulness, that our efforts will bear fruit. And finally, the final concept, which is sort of tying a bow in the whole Blinken concept of the talents, is compound interest, compound investment. You know, you're not going to see those results from the compound interest today, tomorrow. You're not going to see it at 800 views. You're not going to see it at page 10 of the book that you just started or week 3 of morning prayer. You'll see it in 72 years when you doubled or times by 10 your initial investment. You know, the 72-year rule is take your interest rate, divide it by the percentage of gain, and that will tell you how long it takes to double your money. But all of this compound interest, all of this investment analogy, it only works if you're actually putting money away in the present moment. And that's basically all I have for you. You know, the man who reads 10 pages a day is going to be a different man at the end of the year. The man who prays every morning is a different man in 5 years. You know, the podcast that exists and has been consistently posted every 2 weeks for 1, 2, 3 years is a podcast that's going to find an audience and it's going to get ranked in the search engine. You know, you're just going to make progress whether you like it or not. The servant who multiplied his talents didn't know the master's return date. He just kept working. And right now, you're at day one of this. So hopefully what I was able to share with you today is a bit of motivation. As I said, don't get discouraged if you don't see results in day one or week one or year one, because you're not really meant to. You're meant to be at peace and content and trusting in the fact that you're doing the right thing to make tomorrow better. So subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. It's a bit more of an honest, down-to-earth post-workout chat like I used to do. I think they were pre-workout chats back in the day. But stay tuned to the channel, watch my other videos. I obviously talk a lot about topics like this that will help you improve action things in your life. And yeah, God bless you. I hope you have a good weekend. Stay tuned for the next video. I'll be dropping Tuesday. Of course, check out the podcast, the Fit for the Kingdom podcast. We'll be releasing our next episode on Wednesday. That might be April then. And yeah, all the best. God bless. See you in the next one.